All right. Well, this is Robert. You are listening to the Robert Budd Show, and Robert is having a difficult time with this intro. This is, I don't know what number this is. Anyways, I'm just going to do it. Just go for it. This is real life. This is how life works. Doesn't always work out the first round, so you just keep on doing it. That's why they made erasers on pencils, right? Just so you can erase it and try again. So, what's this podcast all about besides Robert rambling on about how he cannot figure out how to do an intro? This podcast is about seeking out interesting folks in my community that I know that they've done interesting stuff in their life. They must have done something interesting because they are interesting folks. So I dig up into their past, what influenced them, what had them do what they're doing right now. Was it mentors? Was it books? Was it audio? Books on audio? What is it that has some of these people that I have on the show so motivated to influence their community, to influence their life, to influence the people around them? I don't have people on the show that aren't up to stuff, and so you can always count on the people that I have on the show that's really up to stuff. So today I have on here Ian Gilligan, and Ian, we know each other through the fitness world. He hasn't always been in the fitness game. He was in the finance game for a long time. We talk about that and how the structure of the office works for him, the office life, but not necessarily in that profession. And we talk about how he has really done awesome things on Instagram and what he does with Instagram. It's not just about, it's not like a me thing. It's about connecting and networking. I think it's super cool what he's up to. So we talk a bunch about that, and he's a big fan of everything fitness, everything podcast, just really learning and expanding, yoga, breath work. We get into all that kind of stuff. We did the interview at the beach, so in the background you may hear some seagulls, some waves, some people. That's one of my favorite places to do these interviews is at the beach. Also, I want to thank you before you get into this. I want to thank you for listening to the show. Thank you for coming back if you're returned. And thank you for being a listener for the first time. All right, so without further ado, here is Ian. So I'm just going to start. Fair warning, you're being recorded.
All right. Good to know.
So, yeah, Boss Jack Jr., it's got more stuff on there than I would ever. It's like having a portable mixer.
Okay.
So I used to use that, but it got hot a couple times and I lost two interviews doing that. And then the same happened with this. It got warm. I don't even think it was out in the sun. It was in a window, and I had it propped up on a desk, and it got hot in the back, and it just got too hot. Shuts down. Yeah. So don't have that happen.
Interesting.
And I'm going against my own rules. Usually I have a couple different ways of recording it. I record like a couple different backups, but I forgot my phone in my car, so this better work. It looks like it is, so.
Cool. Is this just the microphone on the laptop?
Uh-huh.
Cool.
Yeah. And so just to acknowledge that we're at the beach and may hear some waves in the background. It's quite the bummer day here in San Diego.
It's an incredible day.
Sitting at the beach, listen to the waves.
Yeah. Glad to be here.
Did you want to know anything else about how you were wondering how I record stuff?
Yeah. So how much? So where would you say the biggest time investment is in the whole producing these?
Investment probably definitely after the recording. So I edit it as least amount as I have to.
Mm-hmm.
So for every interview, I tell people it's all editable, of course. Like if you say something, even today, I'm telling you that if you say something that you
later on you're like, maybe I shouldn't have mentioned that person's name, or I don't want to talk about that, whatever, I can take it out. Right?
Cool.
And so that takes a little bit of time to edit, to find it and edit it. Sure. And then I put an intro and an exit on a separate one on every single one of them. So it takes a little bit of time. Sometimes it takes me 2-3 recordings to get out what I need, what I want to get out. Sometimes I'm like, oh, fuck it. I recorded this 5 times and this is how it's going to be, kind of thing. But that takes a little bit of time. And then putting it all on, I have a hosting site. It is Libsyn. Have you heard of Libsyn?
I haven't.
It's a Liberated Syndicate.
Okay.
It's a short for Liberated Syndicate. So it's LYBSN. LYBSN. Libsyn.
Okay.
And I host it on there because if it's not able to crash, it won't crash going through there. Like if a bunch of people listen to it at once, it won't crash.
Interesting.
And you're allowed. You buy different packages, and you're allowed a certain amount of time and space and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You can buy different packages for different spaces. For different amount of info you put on there.
Based on expected volume, or
so like if there's one package I can probably get maybe like 1.5 interviews per month on there. They allow a certain amount a month. The one I have now is probably 2.5 to 3 podcasts a month, and then there's some that some people use that they can podcast every single day. It just costs more to have that package. I think I pay $15 a month to host it, which is no big deal. And then the other time investment is just like writing stuff up, like the blogging part of it. But all in all, probably after I interview, it may take me another 2 hours or so.
Okay.
So on top of whatever recording time.
Cool.
Yeah, it's not too bad.
No, seems like a very cool thing to do.
Yeah. There's, I've gotten it down to where I know what kind of, what I can do it all pretty much in one shot, where before I didn't know what order was the best. Now I've got the order down, record it, start the upload it now, start, typing up now, they all kind of streamline it. Yeah. So
cool.
It used to take me a while.
Yeah.
I fucked with it for a long time.
Sure there's a big learning curve.
Yeah. And it's all, $15 is all I pay for the whole thing. I did the least amount of financial, that I needed to do.
And then is it pretty easy to get it up onto iTunes and Stitcher?
Yeah. So in Syndicate, you can do all that wherever you listen to podcasts. That's where you link it all on the Syndicate. So, Libsyn. Sorry. So on Libsyn, it's got all these options where you can put it on iTunes. And iTunes, you have to kind of apply for it. So you would submit a podcast. And what it's about, write up what it's about, and they okay it. It takes about a month or so, and then they okay it, and then they put it on there. Yeah, whether it's going to be explicit, clean, the subject, stuff like that. And which that was one thing that I regret now. I should have put a little more thought about what I wanted to write on the iTunes, because once you do it once, you gotta, if you want to redo it, as far as I know, you have to reapply. So what it says on like the description for every podcast.
Yeah.
You submit that in the beginning, what it's about. You do a little write up, and then that's it. Or you don't get to go in and edit it. I can't. You don't just go in and edit anything on iTunes.
Okay.
They got it locked down.
Interesting. I'm an Android guy. I stayed away from Apple products. I had a bad experience in college where I lost all of my music on iTunes. So.
Yeah, this is the first Apple product I've ever gotten. This one, yeah. I've had an iPad, but that was given to me. I didn't buy it. Yeah. I was the same way. I've never been an Apple guy, and my other computer crashed, and I didn't think it should have. I was frustrated with it, and so I got this on this Mac. But yeah, I don't have iPhones or anything. I'm an Android guy too. So on Libsyn, you can do Google Play, you can do Stitcher, you can do what's that other one? There's anywhere you listen to podcasts, you just apply and it goes on. Yeah,
cool.
Pretty simple. I learned how. Have you heard of? I think it's. Was it EOF? Entrepreneurs on Fire?
Yes.
He's got a section on his website that's all about podcasting. So you can go on there and he just lays it out: what equipment to get, what microphones to get, what, how you edit it, upload it, all that.
Yeah, John Lee Dumas.
Yep.
I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was following him pretty hardcore for a while. Yeah.
So was I. Got old. I mean, he does it every single day. You can pick up anywhere you want. You know, he's on there. He does a podcast every single. He's serious.
Right, 30 minutes like every day.
Every single day. Yeah.
I don't know. I guess you know enough people. You just cram. I'm assuming he's recording most primarily in advance. Nothing's the same day.
I think he does once a week or something like that. I think he has like a recording day.
Just blocks.
Yeah, I think that's what he said. I'm not positive, but I'm pretty sure. And he's probably got 20 in the bank or more. Probably he probably just got a shit ton ready to roll. And then yeah. So for a sound check, I always ask, "What'd you have for breakfast?"
Cool. So I had a strong coffee. I don't know if you've heard of it, but it's the new thing going around on Instagram with a lot of kettlebellers and macers. It's pre-mixed coffee. You stir it up. It has MCT oil, L-theanine, all that stuff, some collagen, protein, and that. And I had
in the coffee?
In the coffee. Yeah, it's like an instant mix.
Oh, okay.
And there's 130 calories in it, but it has all those things in it, and tastes great.
And it's instant, like it's like a packet. You put hot water in it, and you're ready to go.
Yeah, hot water.
It's like Four Sigmatic, the mushroom coffee.
Yeah,
kind of like that.
Exactly.
But with MCT oil.
Same medium. Yep. Yeah. MCT and collagen protein.
Yeah. Anything else?
I had 3 eggs and some quinoa.
Quinoa guy?
Yeah, I like to try different stuff.
Any particular reason why you have this way of doing like coffee, eggs, and whatever quinoa? You follow any certain way of eating, like paleo, primal, whatever?
I'm paying a lot more attention to it now, just getting into the fitness game and kind of just being more open to it, hearing a lot more about the importance of what you're putting into your body. So I'm trying where I can. I always try to do the organic, lower processed stuff. I haven't hacked it too much as to what works best for me, but just little bits and pieces that I hear. I try to eat a lot of vegetables and things like that. Quinoa, I hear it's healthier, easier to digest than other things.
They say.
Yeah, right.
I was so against organic stuff for such a long time. I thought it was just overhyped, whatever, yada yada. A way to get more money out of a grocery store. But now, since my wife, she only buys organic where it's where she can apply it. Like bananas don't obviously have to be organic. Stuff with the hard skin doesn't need to. But I always thought it was overpriced and just kind of a waste of time. But now that I've been looking into it a little more, nutrition was never my strong suit. I dabbled in it, mainly for myself. I didn't know Monsanto. I didn't know any of that kind of stuff around any of that. And then the more documentaries, whatever side they lean to or not, with all the food documentaries, I started watching all sides of it. Have you seen any of like Knives Over Forks and all that kind of stuff?
I've seen bits and pieces of a few.
Some of them feel like scare tactics to me, and lean one way, just go, or like, vegan, raw, all meat, all those documentaries, but I never really paid attention to it until Lindsay got interested in it, and I was like, oh, all right. And she can find it, even when I do shop now, I'm like, don't really buy organic, all that.
Yeah.
that often.
Got to pay an extra buck more often than not.
Yeah.
But,
get that buck.
Yeah, I mean, I think everything's so sensationalized. It has to be shiny for people to just even waste their time on it, right? But a lot of people are saying now just everybody's so different that there really is no one prescription for everybody. And I don't know, it sounds reasonable to me. So
yeah. Anything else you taken on with your health? I see you throwing shit around a lot.
I do throw some shit around a lot. I met some interesting people down here in Southern California after I moved here. And, yeah, I mean, that, like with the Instagram, I'm basically just trying to do that to meet people and network and just meet interesting people and have fun doing it.
Yeah.
So I was in the corporate world for a long time. Kind of got burnt out with that. Came out here.
What'd you do in the corporate world?
Most recently, I was at a large financial institution for 10 years. Middle office. So I managed some teams, and we specifically were focused on gathering background information on the clients. And it was part of standard regulations called anti-money laundering, know your customer, stuff like that. So basically, you're required by the government to do a little biography on your clients. And these were mostly all corporations.
Yeah.
We held a lot of 401k plans. So yeah, I mean, it was basically a lot of internet research.
I had no idea. So it's anti-laundering.
Anti-money laundering, yeah.
Money laundering. So these big corporations aren't laundering money overseas or something like that. Really?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
A big. So there's like 3 laws that tie into it, and there was a big. As far as I know, the latest revamp to all of that came after 9/11, and with the Patriot Act. So now banks have to know about 27 key data points on who's running the company, what do they do, where did they get the money.
Is there any way to launder money anymore, like overseas accounts or any of that kind of stuff, or is it so locked down?
We really didn't get into any exciting stuff. It was a lot of just the data collection, and then most of it's automated. It's screening, and it would probably be routed directly through compliance if there were any red alerts. A few things would come up, but I'm sure there's ways around it.
Yeah.
I really wouldn't know. Yeah.
Like in Swiss bank accounts or something like that?
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's getting harder and harder.
Yeah. I was talking to a guy. I work at down in Mexico, and he's not from Mexico, but I was working down there, and it was one of the clients that I was working with, and he's a financial guy too. And we were sitting around a big table, and somebody asked him, was like, "So, any way to launder money anymore?" Because the guy had a legitimate question. He says, if something happened to me, I have an investment. If something happened to me, I want them to get the most out of my family to get the most out of the investment that I could. And if I could, take it out of country and put it somewhere and not be taxed on it. Is there any way? He wasn't really looking to screw anybody necessarily. I mean, just to get more out of his buck than he could.
Sure. Yeah.
So he asked the guy, "Is there any way you can launder money?" And he kind of had the same question. He was like, "I think it's possible, but it's been the doors have been blown open on stuff like that. So not as easy."
Right. It's probably getting harder every day.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah. Government wants their money, man.
Oh yeah.
Everybody wants their cash. So you came out and then came out here and you got into the fitness. How'd you get into doing fitness?
Fitness well? So, I guess with the banking thing, I had a lot of great opportunities and everything like that, but I mean, at the core of it all, I just wasn't very happy with what I was doing. I didn't feel good about the output with the work, and I think it's just kind of hard to do.
Yeah.
Whenever you're in that type of maybe just large corporations in general, I don't know. But I had gotten into CrossFit. Growing up, I was really into soccer. Just loved doing that. Loved the competition and stuff like that. And I kind of got that flame kind of rekindled by doing CrossFit for a bit. Then I got some bad tendonitis in my elbows and stuff like that. But so whenever I moved out here, I thought basically my plan was to take a moratorium for my professional life. And I had some money saved, so I came out here. I was curious about yoga. Loved CrossFit, so took a yoga teacher training. I was just curious about the philosophy behind it and everything like that. I didn't really plan on teaching it, but then our mutual friend Zach managed a gym, and he's like, we need some teachers here if you want to do it. So sure. So started teaching, and then I saw that they also offered kettlebell training and stuff, and I was like, hey, can I teach that? So went down that route and started learning battle ropes, TRX, boxing, and stuff like that.
What is there? How long did you do CrossFit for?
Not very long.
Even before you got injured or pre-injury or anything like
that? Not very long, maybe a year and a half.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Developed it. So I've been thinking about different, I don't know, failures is the easiest way to, or regrets is the easiest, but everybody that I talked to so far, they're like, I don't regret anything and blah, 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 this kind of stuff. But so if you can put a better spin on, regrets and stuff like that, like not necessarily, I was asking my parents this, what do you regret about, they just had their 50th anniversary. Is there any regrets that you have? They're like, oh no, I don't have any regrets. It's like, well, okay, anything that you would, now that you know what you know now, would you change back then? Is there anything that you would change in the early days of your starting your fitness or CrossFit or even with your corporate job?
Yeah, I mean, corporate job wise, I would say basically just listening to being unhappy, and it wasn't, like a dismal 10 years by any means. I had some great mentors, coaches that gave me a ton of great opportunities. They sent me to different countries to train teams and stuff. So I had a lot of very good experiences that were just good for me growing up and developing and stuff like that. But I knew pretty early on that just like doing internet research really wasn't crazy. Wasn't really doing it for me.
It's not what you wanted to do for the rest of your life.
Right. Yeah. Managing people had some perks, but I mean there was a lot of things that I wasn't crazy about as well. So I would think probably just listening to that, listening to when I was unhappy and probably taking that more seriously. I'm thinking back even into college and stuff. I started out in science, studying physics, and was really struggling like 2 years in. And I remember just my aunt talking to me, and she's like, how's everything going? And, you could tell I was stressed, and she was just like, well, are you happy? And I'm like, what the hell does that have anything to do with me? I'm a kid. I go to college, I get my degree, and then I, go do things or whatever,
Yeah.
So I think there's times for definitely ignoring that, for sure. Probably be bumps on the road and everything, but if you're driving towards a goal and there's smoke coming out of the engine and sparks flying, then wait a minute, maybe you gotta pull off to the side and reassess things. But
so thinking about it early on, that's a good question. Are you happy? Just to kind of check in with yourself or ask people, are you happy? I just listened to Andre Agassi's book, The Open. It's called Open.
Okay.
And he fucking hated tennis. Ever since he always hated tennis. Ever since he started, his whole entire career, he hated it, and different aspects about it, and he just didn't like it. But it came to a point where his dad was like, "Well, I mean, you're 15, 16 years old. You suck at school. You're good at tennis. What the hell else are you going to do? Let's just stick with it. And he hated it. So I mean, I guess there's time to look at, like, are you happy? What would you have done if you answer that question? No, I'm not happy. What could you have done?
Yeah. And I guess I'm still working on that. Out here now, I'm teaching fitness and everything. I mean, you get a very tangible effect. It's very easy to feel good about the work you're doing. You can see people, they're having a good time, getting stronger, improving, things like that. But yeah, it's still a process. I'm happier than I was.
Yeah. Well, what would make you happy?
I think I'm still just working through that.
Not quite sure what's exactly going to make you happy.
I like, got a good work ethic, working hard, but probably something with helping other people.
Yeah.
Making them feel good about themselves and going down that route.
I've been reading this book. It's called 59 Seconds, and it's 59 seconds to change your life.
Mm-hmm.
So in the beginning of the book, he has all these great ideas with a friend of his, like a self-help kind of guy, and a lot of science behind his self-help, they've done a lot of research on what makes people happy and what makes people more efficient and all that kind of stuff. And they've done research on doing acknowledgments and like self-talk and all that kind of stuff. And the science behind a lot of that stuff is exact opposite of what you would think. You know, I see a lot of those things on Instagram. You know, that's like, you know, self-talk. Like I'm great. I'm going to do great today. Blah blah blah. Science shows makes zero difference. Actually, makes an opposite difference. It goes the opposite way, because when that doesn't happen, it makes you worse off. So you have this high expectation, like, all right, I'm the best. I'm gonna really kick ass today. And when you don't, you're like, I'm a fucking failure. I suck. All that kind of stuff. Yeah. So there's one thing in there they call double talk. It's like, okay, this is the perfect way I wanted to go. Like, today I'm gonna do blah 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 blah, and then here's what could happen. You know, I could not get anything done. I could, you know, or whatever. You know, so you see the positive and maybe a possible negative impact, and so you're kind of not shocked by it, or it doesn't like knock you off, kind of thing. What was I lead to that? Part of his journal, he recommends doing this journal is a visualization of my fantastic future, and once a week, start out a sentence: I've done all the hard work. I'm a good person. I got good work ethic, and this is what I've got out of it. And just almost like write your future. Yeah. You know, out of all the stuff that, you know, like, look, I've gone to school. I've got a degree. I've done my time at a job that I not necessarily want to do, whatever, and now I'm enjoying helping people or whatever that might be. So I've been doing that once a week, and it's interesting, like, kind of the stuff that I bring up. I've been working on like different projects. I've always got a side hustle going on, or working on a side hustle. Like, okay, if this side hustle works out, it's going to help me financially, help the client financially or physically, or whatever I'm working on. Yeah, something like that, you know. So just thought that.
Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot. I was doing a Panda planner for a while.
What's it called?
Panda planner. And I think there's a lot of these journals, like mostly productivity, but also probably peppered with a lot of self-help, positive outlooks, and a lot of gratitude practices as well. But it's kind of just listing what I need accomplished today, this week, this month. Yeah. And also each day you list out things you're grateful for, things like that. Yeah. Sounds like there's a lot of interest in those.
Yeah. Tim Ferriss, he talks a lot about the morning pages. I think that's another great thing. Yeah. Morning pages where before your conscious mind kicks in, you write down, you know, what you're grateful for, you know, just ideas, blah, blah, blah. You know, it's got a few questions that you answer, you know, 5 different questions kind of thing. And while your unconscious mind is still in the driver's seat kind of thing. So you do it first thing in the morning. Yeah. Cool. And then you have an evening journal where you can just kind of like brain dump, get the shit out of your head so you can go to sleep kind of thing. I never really have that problem, you know. I don't lay there in bed and think necessarily. Once I lay there, I'm done. Yeah, I don't have that problem at all. Yeah. Anything else, like even a failure or a setback or whatever along the way of what you've been learning inside of the fitness world, inside of learning kettlebells or yoga, or maybe now you know what you know, would you have taken a different path somewhere along the line or anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, I think right off the bat with the CrossFit training, I think the box that I was going to, we did a 2-week intro on the Olympic movements, and passed all that, and then I was able to take my first class, and then it's like, okay, do as many snatches as you can in the next 10 minutes. I'm like, what? I'm whipping this belt. I'm like, I don't think this is right, you know? And I'm pretty sure so what I would have done differently was basically really nail down mechanics. And like, I think I'm still learning how to move properly. Yeah. And I think we're all taking that for granted, just living in this body, don't know how it works really, or how to make it work most efficiently. And I think that's where I've gotten my elbow tendonitis, a few muscle spasms and stuff like that. Probably sitting at a desk for so long certainly didn't set me up for success in swinging kettlebells and barbells and everything like that.
How would you fix that structure, that the CrossFit way? And every box is different, so it could be somebody out there listening, like, oh, my CrossFit box does it differently, does more 2 weeks. Or I know the one I used to work at, we had 3-session on-ramp. You learned all the moves in 3 sessions, and you were in class, man.
Yeah.
So if you wanted more, you take privates.
I think something like a private would be good, or maybe you get paired with a seasoned person.
Yeah.
Like, I think right off the bat, a 2 week, 1 week, even a 3 sessions, probably good. Like, you got to get some sort of introduction. But then I think maybe like a big brother or big sister to watch you and be like, all right, look, these are the things that you need to work on, just because I think it's so complex. There's so many ways to go wrong. Yeah.
That's a great idea. You just gave me a great idea. So
you're welcome.
Yeah, thanks. I appreciate that. I teach a lot of classes, and a lot of times there's new people coming and going in the classes, and typically what happens with new people is they get frustrated when they don't know the movements, or they get too sore or get hurt or whatever it is. And those who stick around the longest either have been able to endure that, or are just kind of used to it, or they just find a community inside the classes that they stick around. I'm sure you've seen that inside of Edge, and so pairing them up and even accountability, like, hey, I'm going to be here Thursday, so when you show up Thursday, I'll be here with you again, and let's do it all over again. That's a great idea.
Cool. Yeah, let me know if you try.
Yeah, I will.
I think it's good. Yeah, maybe having in your back pocket as the instructor just some online resources, or maybe just some Instagram people that people should follow. It seems like everybody's on Instagram, right?
Yeah.
So while you're swiping through there's lots of great diagrams, especially on like kettlebell Turkish get-ups. Some things are really well done. And then videos on just like how to handle the barbell and everything.
Who do you follow the most on Instagram? What's your go-to on
people I like a lot? Let's see. There's a facility up north in Oakland. Maybe, I don't want to guess, but I know they got some great diagrams on like Turkish get-ups, swings, stuff like that. Things to keep in mind, keep you safe.
If you think of it, text me.
I will.
When you,
sure,
I'll put it on the show notes.
Yeah. I'm very interested in the steel mace movement.
Yeah.
Right now. Just learning how to do that. I bought a 10-pound mace and just started swinging, a few hundred swings, like every other day or whatever. Just my shoulders feel really good.
Yeah.
They're really, collarbones opened up, posture's more improved after doing that. And I think that's pretty good for injury prevention.
Do you follow, what's his name, Mace Man, or that, what's his name, the big guy?
Leo Savage?
No, it's an older gentleman, and I could have sworn his name is Mace.
Yeah, I think he is the Mace Man.
Is he Leo? Is that his name, Leo? He's like...
No, but he and Leo are actually doing a certification up north.
Okay, I've met him at I'm sure I met him doing the kettlebell or something or other, but he does really heavy, he can do some freaking heavy mace work for sure. I think he's a big guy. We're probably about the same size. I mean, he might be a little bigger, and he's older than I am, and he's in great shape, man. Like, great shape. What I was going to ask. Oh, well, your Instagram is kick-ass. I mean, like how did it develop? How did it how did you develop how it is? Like what was the where you started to where it is now? Just your effects, your filming, all that is great.
Thank you. Yeah. I've done a lot of research and following guys like John Lee Dumas for like geared towards Instagram. Read a lot of blogs and stuff like that. A lot of the scheduling companies give out good tips.
Scheduling companies?
So there's ways to schedule your posts like months in advance. You can plan the whole month out
on Instagram.
Stuff like that. Yeah.
But how do you schedule it? You can post it and then it's on a timer? Is that
basically they'll give you a calendar.
Is that an app?
You dump in all the content.
Oh.
And so there's things like Later, Hootsuite, a few other things. And they'll send out like a weekly blog on tips and tricks. Like these are, plus there's also like the functionality Instagram changes. There's new ways to post and tips and tricks that happen all the time. That's how I hear about it.
Wait a second. Say these again because now I'm really interested. What's it?
I'll send you a list.
What's it?
Hootsuite and Later.com. I use Hootsuite for the gym, actually, for Edge, scheduling those. Another nice thing is that, I don't know if you ever tried to post like long posts, and you have everything spaced out properly.
Yeah, I've seen those.
You go to post and it just goes to shit.
It does,
right?
Yeah.
It seems to not happen whenever you use Hootsuite.
Really?
Or Later, yeah.
That's the secret, because I see those long posts that I can't figure out how to do.
Yeah, it's a pain. You try to hit enter, you add the period, hit enter again, and then it works. It worked yesterday.
Yeah.
Why isn't it working today?
Yeah.
You know? But those, for whatever reason, those interfaces, I guess, have found a way to make the formatting communicate accurately to Instagram.
Yeah. How'd you get interested in building up your Instagram account? Why did you go Instagram instead of another platform?
Personally, I'm more entertained by Instagram. Just seeing the pictures. Facebook just seems so noisy and overwhelmed, and it seems like a lot of people I was following were just giving a bunch of opinions that I did not want to hear, or just like rants and finger pointing and stuff.
It seems to be what's the normal complaint lately about Facebook. Yeah.
I just think it's just a bloated animal. Like, who wants to bother with that? One good thing about Facebook that I like is the private groups.
Yeah.
Like Kettlebell Partner Passing has it. A lot of other people have it. I used it for a kettlebell training that I did. I think that's a great form to stay connected if you have a business. Keep your parties interested, and a good way to share quality content, whether it's text or media.
On Facebook.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Without all the other noise.
Right.
Stuff like that.
So and you're entertained more so with Instagram, and so you just
I think Instagram's simpler. It's cleaner. If people are forced to get to the point, no one's going to read. I mean, probably no one's going to read your post anyways on Instagram, right?
Yeah.
Unless you have a cool picture there, or that person established some sort of meaningful connection, or you recognize them as a good source of information and whatever you're interested in. You aren't going to waste your time, unless that picture is sexy in some respect. So that's why I slap on all the filters and stuff like that. There's some cool apps that make it pretty easy. To do all that.
What kind of equipment do you use for your posts, your footage?
Most of it's just my cell phone. Samsung S8 is what I have right now, and a little tripod that I got. I actually brought today, if we wanted to. So I could take a picture of us afterwards for posting.
Right on.
But I also have a Steadicam. Did you ever see those gimbals? You hold it, you just get real nice, shake-free images, and you can do that while walking, if you're on a bike.
Isn't it on like a roller or something like that? Doesn't it roll around?
It's like a weighted lever.
Oh.
So it's all counterbalanced. Like the phone is counterbalanced with the weight, and everything is on a swivel.
You can hook up regular video camera to that too, can't you, or something like that? I saw something. A guy was filming at a certification, and he had a regular camera on there and just that handle, and it would just like you would turn it and swivel around, and the thing would always stay centered.
Yeah. I don't know that mine would actually hold like a real camera, but they're definitely out there. And I think it makes a huge difference. If you look at Phase 6 Fitness, they're an Australian outfit, but they just did the Turkish Get Up Challenge. That's where the last 16 of my posts were focused on that. But they're definitely using a legitimate camera, using the gimbal, and as you're swiping through your stream of images, that's going to pop more than anything else. You see that just a high quality image, well framed and everything like that.
You mainly do video, right? You don't do a whole lot of still
No,
pictures.
I don't. Yeah.
on purpose?
I guess I'm just really into swinging kettlebells at the moment, and I haven't gotten a lot of engagement from just still images. So, yeah, basically I try to just do video.
What's your, what do you want to get out of it? Why do you do it? Why do you want to put out such great content?
I want it to be a networking tool, basically, to connect with other fitness people. Met with another podcaster a couple weeks ago. I just did a post of her and I earlier today.
I saw that she was like a list of freaking things that she was up to or she's done before.
Yeah, she's kind of prolific.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's her name?
Her name is Lynn Marie Morsky.
Yeah, that's right.
MD-JD, podcaster, yoga teacher, super into functional fitness. She was teaching me some things with Indian clubs I hadn't seen before, But very interesting. She's trying to launch her coaching business. She is launching her coaching business for basically guiding people through strategic quitting. And that's probably what I needed 3 years ago whenever I moved out here. So let's go through A, B, and C. How are your finances? What does this mean? Don't burn bridges or anything, don't think I did. But, for general advice for somebody who's feeling stuck in career, relationship, whatever it is,
Shit, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Especially, I think in this environment where people don't hang around jobs too long, I think millennials want to save the world, so they just hop around a lot,
Yeah.
Which is great. I think that I had a real issue with millennials for a long time because they weren't, they don't stick stuff out, and they're like, I had this whole thing going. I can't even actually remember what my gripe was, gripe about them were, but I just see so much that this next generation, the millennials, can offer. It's like they blow me away, and the knowledge for technology, way of thinking now, more of a positive outlook. Like when I grew up, it's like, my dad was like, get a job, stick with it, nose to the grind kind of thing. And there was no, he did say do something that you love because you're going to be doing it a lot. I just happened, I think I lucked out and I was stubborn enough just to stick with, fitness through some shitty times. But there was no, let's go somewhere else. I think the longevity in and having kids early on, where now I think millennials are pushing off kids much more, having kids a little later on, which I think is a great idea. You can, save the world and then go have kids afterwards.
Yeah,
that kind of thing. So I don't know where I was going with that, but yeah.
Quitting, but strategic
quitting. Yeah.
People seem to just be.
So quitting, but being great about it. Don't burn bridges. Don't fuck everybody. Not literally, but don't screw everybody on the way out, kind of thing. And it's a real way of not doing it so it's all about you, kind of thing. Yeah.
But I also think there's something to be said for sticking in a position for 2 or 3 years.
Oh, at least. Yeah.
I know at the bank, the younger generation that I saw coming in, they really only wanted to stick around there for a couple of years and then move on to something else. But to really get good at a job, I think it takes a couple of years.
At least,
at least to know all the ins and outs. And
what about, so on that point, stick with the job or stick with the career? Because I know I didn't stick with any one necessarily, in one space, but I did stick with the same career. I don't know if this is the case or not, but is it they're hopping around from different careers, or people are just hopping around different jobs?
I guess what I observed most in the bank was probably just hopping around with jobs. The bank, it was a 80,000 person corporation, so a lot of people were just kind of just bopping all over the place and stuff like that. But I guess my point would be stick with it for a couple years, unless be mindful about it. Check in with yourself. Are you happy? Try to get a mentor to give you some perspective on everything. But you want to be good at it. I mean, you don't want to have it on your resume that you were only in this position, the last 4 positions for maybe 12 months top each, 6 months here, 6 months there. Like, pretty sure you didn't have any time to actually learn everything you needed to excel at that position.
Yeah.
So it's going to make you less attractive for future employment opportunities. I don't want to take a risk on a person, that would be jumping out of my job, under 12 months.
Yeah. 2 questions. If somebody's in a corporate job now that they want to stay in the field, they want to stay, but they're not, they checked in with themselves, I'm not happy. What would you suggest? What would you do if you can rewind 10 years ago? What would you tell yourself? Would it be to bail and go find happiness somewhere or in search of happiness? Or would you do something different inside the job? Would you talk to your boss or just be in communication about it? Like, what would you do? What would you tell yourself 10 years ago?
I would say whether you're happy or not happy, I think you should be engaging authority figures and people that could mentor you. Maybe you aren't, signed up for, this is a 1-year structured mentorship, but if you come across somebody who could possibly give you something that you could learn, just do that. And then just through that networking, opportunities are going to come.
Yeah.
You get jobs out of that. Find something that's a better fit. You can also be more realistic with your boss. This is what I enjoy. This is where I think I give you the most value. And just opening dialogue, probably just constant communication with as many people as you can.
Yeah.
Probably help.
Okay, so the flip side of that is like I'm on my way out, like you were at one time. I'm on my way out. I'm done with corporate. What's your advice to those in search of? What did you do to prepare yourself? I know you said you had a savings that you can tap into, so you didn't go somewhere and you had to start another job right off the bat. You can go and kind of find a passion and start into that.
I would definitely make sure you don't burn the bridges. Leave professionally. Before I left, there were a number of people that I had been engaging with, just grabbing coffees, and it was a pseudo mentor relationship. So I made sure that before I left, I asked them, could I use you as a reference going forward, yada, yada, yada. So I had a bank of people that I could go engage should I go back into that area. Because, I don't know, maybe that I was going to be happier there than in anything else,
Yeah.
So make sure you have you keep those bridges open. Definitely check the finances.
Yeah.
And I think what Lynn Marie's trying to do is just supply an outside perspective is probably huge. You can't really see yourself,
Yeah.
They say that you can only see yourself in basically based on your interactions with others or reflected in other people. That's the only way you actually get to know who you are, stuff like that. So especially if you're going to pull a big life change, completely transfer out of your career, etc., I think having somebody to serve as a sounding board is probably essential.
Yeah. I know when I picked up and left Reno and moved down here, I left a lot of people high and dry, especially my clients that really counted on me, and I don't think I realized how much I was needed or wanted at the time. I was very much selfish and like, okay, I'm done here. The choice between sunny San Diego and Reno, I didn't have to think too long. I was like, I'm going to San Diego, man. But I look back on it now, and I guess the regret that I would have is I didn't set anybody up, and I was along with myself. I didn't set anybody up for that I'm not going to be around kind of thing. I know there's still people now that still aren't. They never continued their fitness. They just stopped, and
Gotcha.
Either they just. I know a couple of people, instead of working out, they go bike riding. You know what I mean? They ride bikes and whatnot, and they've kind of like hopped around different places. But so that's definitely a regret that I have, that I burned. I just cut it off. It's like, okay, I'm leaving this time. I'm out of here, and there's really no way of continuing on kind of thing.
Yeah.
I was a bit selfish. I don't know what I would do. Maybe Skype or have somebody in my place. Maybe clone myself somehow. I could have definitely set up a younger trainer, another trainer, put them in my spot, kind of thing. But I was so done with it. I was like, fuck this. I'm out of here. Having the gym, I was like, I just want to shut this down and end this part of my life.
Can relate to that?
Yeah. I wasn't financially set up. Had, I think, $100 in the bank and cards, credit cards maxed out. Not a smart idea. It wasn't. I was pretty stressed when I moved down here.
Sure.
And then having something, if you're in that position, having something to fall back on, for sure, like, or something set up for your future, like a job that is guaranteed somehow, some sort of financial. Because I started, ground zero when I moved here, so that was a struggle. But in the back of my mind, I like the struggle. I like to have to fight myself out of a hole. I do things much better when I have a hard deadline and I'm an hour away from that deadline. I'm really productive, But it doesn't. It's in the long run. It's not that a great personality trait. I think. I don't know. Maybe at times you can tap into that, but overall, I wouldn't do that now. I think I've gotten a little smarter now.
Definitely helps focus.
Yeah, definitely. What about going forward? How are you finding what makes you happier? Do you listen to different podcasts? You read more? What is it? What's the path of finding happiness for those out there? Like, I'm not happy. I don't even know what I'm really passionate about or my purpose is. What's that path look like for you?
I think it's for me, it's setting up a framework and kind of building that tribe, whether it's literally a human I'm talking to, or if it's following specific resources on Instagram, listening to specific podcasts that I think are inspiring, that are basically speaking to where I'm at. Consuming information. Consuming data through Instagram, through books, through podcasts and stuff like that. And another big part of it is the integration of that information or the experiences, it's like the yoga teacher training it was actually, I was surprised. It's good. It was, I thought I was just going to learn about yoga and stuff, but here it was basically a very intense group therapy session that I was very surprised about. But, so...
You mean, you learn more about yourself kind of thing? Or what's that?
Yeah, and I think that was probably had to do with the person steering the ship.
Who did
the program. It's Katie Brower.
Oh, okay, yeah. Zach has said that she has that twist on things. Like, she'll dig in there, yeah.
And, for a guy who basically just quit his job, moved across the country, was probably exactly what I needed.
Is that how you met Zach, through that, or?
That is how I met Zach, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he taught the anatomy section of that. But, I had no intention of teaching, definitely no intention of going into a group therapy-esque environment.
Yeah.
Right? It was like, wow, these are some big life questions I was just slapped in the face with, and I'm like, oh shit, this is actually why I'm out here, and so I think investing time in those experiences is worthwhile. I think I get a little bit more each time I go into those environments. This weekend I'm doing a 16-hour breathwork certification and experience, and I think that's part of it, kind of looking at the self, taking stock of where I'm at professionally, relationship-wise, happiness-wise, all that stuff.
What's the framework for the breath work? Is it
the breath work?
It's like Wim Hof kind of stuff, or what is it?
I'd say it's a shade of Wim Hof. This particular individual kind of, I guess it's his own type of breath work. The guy's name is David Elliott, and there's a woman here. She's a marriage therapist, actually. She teaches it. Her name is Danny Herring, and there's no real name for it. It's kind of just like David Elliott's breathwork, basically. It's a 2-part breathwork. Chemically, I don't know, it may lead to the same results that Wim Hof breathing does. But where from what I know with Wim Hof, you stop after 40 or 50 breaths and then you hold it to retention. This is you kind of just go full steam for however long you're doing it. So it could be like 45 minutes. There were a couple of like 2-hour experiences, but you just go all out, see what happens. And it can get pretty interesting.
You mean like that type of aggressive breath work for 45 minutes, like Wim Hof does, like that, like that kind of stuff, or like different?
So this is a 2-part breath. You breathe once into the belly, once into the chest, and then exhale, and then you repeat. But you, the way she teaches it is the first 5 minutes, push it. You know, your mind's going to start telling you you're uncomfortable, and it's all through the mouth. Like, so for me, I start to get congested.
Yeah.
So she's like, ignore all of that and just go for it, full throttle. Huh. Like I hear anecdotes where Wim Hof just like yells at people like, breathe, motherfucker.
Yeah.
Basically, just keep going. Something's going to happen.
Yeah.
You know? And so I've done a few experiences with her.
Is that like Kundalini?
I've never tried the Kundalini, but from what I have seen, I tried holotropic breath work as well. I think they're all kind of trying to tap into the same thing.
So some self work. You did some self work. You looked at your whatever that side that you didn't want to tap into, or you didn't expect to tap into with the yoga teacher training.
I was thinking it's basically shining a light in the basement of Ian Gilligan, basically.
Yeah.
Let's see where the holes are in the foundation.
Yeah.
And hopefully the whole thing doesn't go crumbling.
Would you suggest that for others? Would you say that's a key component of finding purpose, finding happiness, is doing some work on yourself?
I think so, yeah. I think you have to take a hard look at yourself.
Yeah.
You know, you need a sounding board. Could just be talking with a mentor or a friend. It doesn't have to be anything crazy. You know, you don't have to breathe for 3 hours, make yourself hyperventilate for 3 hours straight, but maybe you get some cool insights if you did.
Yeah. I did a lot of work with Landmark. Have you heard of Landmark? Landmark Education? It's
No, I haven't.
A personal and professional development company. And I was pretty much sent there by an ex-girlfriend, and it's where I met my wife. That's where I met Lindsay. She was working there at the time.
Oh, cool.
And so my first seminar, it's called the Forum, Landmark Forum, she handed me my name tag. And I had heard about it through my ex for 5 years, and it was always like, well, you know, it's really good for communication, and it'll be good for business, and we'll have the same kind of language, you know, because she had done it. And I was like, it's good for other people. I don't, really need all that kind of stuff. Finally, It came to a breaking point where I was like, okay, fuck it, I'll go. And I had never looked. It's like having I've been to therapy one other time, and only thing I can compare it to is having a lot of therapy sessions squished into a 3-day weekend, and it goes very quickly. Like you look at yourself, you look at the past, you see all the shit that's in your way, and it's very quick and it's very like in your face. A lot of people don't like it because it's not soft and fuzzy. Like, we got a long time to do this. Like, therapy could be stretched out over years. This is a weekend, man. We gotta like get on with this stuff. Let's get in where, like, everybody's an asshole. Let's look at where you're an asshole, and where you've been a jerk to people, why you did that, blah blah blah. It's real like it's like a fire hose in your face kind of thing. And then there's an aha, like, oh, shit. All right, I get it now, but it's way at the end. You got to go 3 days of like sitting there like, why the fuck am I here kind of thing. It is literally like, if people go through it like, oh, this isn't that bad. Oh, day 1, day 2, no problem. No, I was like, I'm breaking down. I'm crying. This is fucked up. I want to leave. Why am I here? This is bullshit. I went through, those, 2.5 days of that shit. And finally it was like, oh, that's why we're doing this. Oh, I get it. All right, yeah, I get it. I get where I'm an asshole and stuff like that. It's like I can really look at that and own it and then move on. Like there's an acceptance part of it. Like, everybody has their own shit, and you're in a room with another 100 people, and we all go through the same stuff. We all got the same stuff going on, different little version of it. Our families are fucked up in our own special ways. Some have from extreme violence to extreme ignores being ignored or whatever it is. We've all got our stuff going on, and I highly suggest everybody to get some of that work done, whether it's going to a yoga teacher training and getting a look at yourself, or therapy or whatever it might be. I don't think friends can get that deep. I mean, it helps to talk it out, but friends can be as much of a dick as I can be to my friends. Like, come on, dude, you're full of shit, kind of thing.
Yeah.
It helps to have a stranger up there really telling you, like, no, dude, you got to stop your crap, man. Have a look at this. And coming from a stranger, it's like, all right, asshole, I'll look at it. I had somebody, one of the leaders tell me, wow, you're really fucking up everybody's life that you touch. And it's not like a bad thing, like, all right, screw you, that's the truth kind of thing, because none of it's the truth. But it kind of like slaps you, like, all right, well, let me look how I'm impacting, because we all impact each other's lives, whether it's in the grocery store, to your wife, to your best friend, or to your mom and dad. It's like, all right, well, let me have a look at that. If it was my buddy, it's like, all right, yeah, I know, I'm a dick. It's not the same thing. Right. So, just on that subject.
Yeah, I definitely see your point, and especially in relationships, I think, if anything, 9 out of 10 times you're enabling that person's dysfunctional behavior.
Exactly. Yeah.
And your family probably does that too.
Yeah, you're not really calling them out on it.
Yeah. But I mean, getting in those extremely uncomfortable situations is probably a good dose of medicine for everybody.
I think so too.
Why not do it over a weekend rather than 30 years? Right?
Yeah,
who wants to do that?
Yeah. Because you end up being in like, you're in a relationship with them anyways. In 3 days, you're not necessarily in a relationship with you can listen to them differently, you hear them differently. Where a therapist, you end up having a relationship with them, over a period of time. So what's next now that we've dug up all the goodies from being and how you've transformed into where you're at now, from corporate to I think you're one of the best Instagrammers that I follow personally. That I watch your stuff all the time.
Thank you.
And to being that, to in the fitness world, to like following your passion. What's next for you?
I guess it's just to try to keep expanding.
What's that look like? What do you mean by expanding besides doing these
professionally? Personally, keep doing the work. Shining the light into the basement.
Yeah.
Keep doing that. Trying to teach, the best class I can for people out at the gym. Make them have a good time, be safe, and learn how to move so they don't get tendonitis like I did, or get injured. But yeah, and with the Instagram, it's networking. I'm down to explore all kinds of opportunities. I don't know what that would be. Starting companies, not sure.
Do you see starting companies?
I'd be open to, getting back into the business world.
Yeah.
Starting a company, maybe around fitness, maybe something else. Yeah. And right now I'm doing doing sales for a vegan snack food company here in Encinitas.
Yeah, you want to pimp that? You want to throw that plug out there?
Yeah, they came up with some pretty innovative products, and they only put the ingredients in there are just what needs to be in there and nothing more, basically.
What's the name of it?
Seva. S-E-V-A. It's a Sanskrit word for service. But yeah, they have a freeze-dried ice cream, and it actually lasts for 30 years.
What?
Yeah, because it's freeze-dried. And it's a heck of a lot healthier than the original space ice cream that was out there from the Apollo missions and everything like that. Kids can still come across and everything like that.
Huh.
Yeah, there's some coconut water in it, a lot of antioxidants.
Are you vegan?
I'm not.
You just, what had you work for a vegan company?
It started out, I just need some supplemental income.
Yeah.
And a couple friends knew this couple was looking for somebody to help out. So went into that, and, just the more that I'm learning about diet and talk about organic food and everything, just the more attractive the products are sounding. Like, oh, wow, this is actually, they got a good mission behind them, especially ethical treatment of animals, like just looking how things are treated, on the road to that burger that you buy at In-N-Out or McDonald's, or just standard chicken and everything. It's awful, right? So yeah, it sounds pretty cool. And then they also have coconut jerky, which is lightly dehydrated coconut meat from raw. It's actually considered a raw product, organic coconuts, and then just seasoned on top. The texture is very similar to beef jerky, and the seasoning's very good. It's surprising. Yeah.
I mean, they don't hire just vegans to work for their company?
They don't. Apparently not.
Well,
that wasn't part of the questions in the interview.
Are you vegan? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's yeah, I like that.
Yeah. So there, I mean, I can feel good about that.
Yeah. Yeah. And what else in the in your where you live? Like, how are you planning on expanding here in San Diego, taking advantage of? I know you post everything outside, just about, almost not everything, but a lot of stuff outside. Where would you like to go with that?
I haven't thought too far yet. Right now, I'm kind of just mining for opportunities, I'd say, in the fitness realm. Primarily in the fitness realm, basically. But I don't know, maybe that would be workshops on the beach, learn kettlebells, some other modalities, maybe some yoga, things like that.
I like it, just free flow, man.
Yeah. I figure if I form enough connections with interesting people, there's going to be a business. There's going to be a way to make money.
Yeah. What would you? I love this question. It's a Tim Ferriss question. What would you, if you had a gigantic billboard, and you can put anything you want on there besides, go www.iangilligan.com.
Doesn't exist. I wouldn't put that up. Yeah.
What would you put out there? What message would you put out to everybody?
I guess I would say something along the lines of take risks. I don't know. I don't have any regrets about moving out here. There was a decent chunk of money that it took to get out here, but feel good about it.
Yeah.
And I think all those things, getting into the uncomfortable situations, leaning into it, engaging people with, challenging topics, vulnerable topics, take risks in your relationships, in your career, and everything. Just we don't know. You don't know how long you're going to live, right?
Yeah.
And looking on the scale of things, we're just a drop in the bucket, if that. How long have humans been here, the universe, and everything? Who knows? It's a very weird and mysterious drama that we're a part of. So pursue all paths.
I agree. I was listening to a podcast with Elon Musk, and who's
Joe Rogan?
Yeah.
Are you about to whip out a joint right now?
Yeah. If I had some whiskey, I would, that's for sure. My joint's at home. But it's like, he's a very interesting guy, as in, like, that whole drop in the bucket and the mysterious, are we really having this conversation kind of guy?
Yeah.
Is it, like, what's your take on that aspect, that look?
That what? I'm sorry?
Yeah,
the look,
it's like
the perspective.
Yeah, the perspective of are we actually having this conversation? Are you, artificial intelligence right now? Am I actually talking to you? Are you actually talking to me? Or am I looking at you through these eyes? It's the whole, like, question everything aspect, questioning our existence, questioning future existence.
I love it. I love I say question everything. I mean, I'm not at all educated enough on multiple universes or simulated realities. I studied physics for a little bit, but it was a long time ago. And but yeah, I love all those things. At a very early age, my dad was in engineering, and one of the biggest bonds that we had was him talking to me about aliens or ancient civilizations and just all the cool things that they did. And that awe and that wonder towards just the existence, life, and everything, I mean, that's a big part of what I'm rediscovering while I'm out here, So, yeah, I love it all. I want to know all about it. And, sure, I'm not going to get any solid answers with most of those questions, but wow, I think they're a great way to spend your time.
Yeah. How do you time management all that? I mean, you're really in discovery of a lot of different things. How do you do that?
Well, I could probably do it better, but try to get up early, and in the morning, if I feel like I'm lagging, I'm taking a note out of Wim Hof's book. And actually, I think it was one of your newsletters that kind of reminded me about this, but just get the cold shower. Boom. That just then I'll have the coffee afterwards, but that cold shower is just going to get me so much, definitely expedite the process to getting in a mindset where I can be productive. And other than that, I probably should be doing this. I probably should still be doing the Panda Planner or something similar to just block out times, but I'm huge on the Google Calendar and reminders. Like if I don't write it down, I doubt I'm going to remember it. So I have a ton of reminders out on my calendar, and basically everything I need to do is
you're pretty much mapped out on their to-do list, stuff like that. That's how I live too. Michael Castrogiovanni, he's just like seat of his pants, man. I don't think that guy owns a calendar. I mean, maybe on his phone, I got to be in a different state for a workshop kind of thing. But that guy really flows. His analogy is if I overplan, I don't leave any room for the miracles, for opportunities and things like that. And I can definitely see where if I'm planned or I'm scheduled out, I do miss out on maybe an opportunity here and there. But in general, it works for my brain. It works for me. It works for my personality. It works for my structured. I like to have a structured life. And then when I'm not structured, it's like, woo! I'm not structured today, baby. Yeah, it's and good and bad. Like if I'm not structured, I can fucking do nothing. And I'm like, whoa, I didn't get shit done today. Or if I just pick a day, my wife and I, we often do this. There's no structure today. We're just gonna whatever comes up do, and it's a treat. It's like having ice cream for the first time in a month. We don't have anything planned today. I don't have to wear a watch. I don't have to call anybody. I don't have to do anything. So it's like an exact opposite of my normal day, and that's how my brain, how I like it. It's like it's a reward for being so structured is to have an unstructured day. What's your thoughts on that?
I definitely need the structure. And a huge challenge with teaching the fitness classes was I don't have a consistent period of the day where I'm working. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, you can lock into different classes, but some are in the morning, some are in the evening. You may have an hour in between the two. You may have 6.
Yeah.
And I'm just scattered, And then I'm like, well, maybe I need to go back to a standard 9 to 5 because this is I'm struggling with, and I think I missed that. I mean, honestly, give me a good 5 hours straight where I can just work, where I can just focus on one thing and feel good about that.
Yeah.
Whereas just an hour here, teach a class, then, all right, now what am I supposed to do? I'm supposed to switch gears and focus on sales for the next hour? Or, I mean, if I could focus just a straight 5 or 6 hours on sales, boom, I think I can get a lot done.
Or 5 or 6 hours with classes.
Exactly.
Whatever it is, yeah. Well, welcome to my world. Yeah, I'm pretty much all over the place. And I do the same thing. I will make a list of the 5 critical things that I want to accomplish in the day, and then I put them on my calendar, and then I'll feed in there things that I want to get done, but they're not critical. It could be making a phone call, it could be catching up, it could be jumping in the water. That will be very loose, but I'll have my scheduled appointments, and then I'll fit in stuff in there because I like structure, and then I'll even structure. Okay, this is nap time. I don't necessarily have to sleep the whole time, but I can have my downtime. I'll read. I'll lay down. If I sleep, I sleep. If I don't, it's just like my downtime. I'll block off time for that also.
Yeah, I think the downtime is important too.
Yeah,
like if you have to teach a class at 7:00 at night. It's a fitness class, it's not a yin yoga class, then you're pretty amped up.
Yeah.
And you're like, how am I going to get good sleep tonight? And then you're groggy the next day, and then you got to go right back in and get at it.
It's a fun game. Yeah, I've got different ways that I wind down. I'm not a good having class at night guy. I do have a couple, but I'm not typically, and it's not my good creative time at night. Probably after noon, 1 o'clock, I'm no longer as creative. I can get stuff done, but I don't. I'm not creative or anything. I'm just more like getting shit done, going to a class, banging that out kind of thing. I don't work out in the afternoon. I don't do any of that. My brain works much better in the morning.
Same here. Yeah, thinking maybe it's like you were talking about with that journal before your conscious brain has a chance to hijack everything.
Yeah.
There's a lot more space open.
Speaking on the conscious to unconscious, I was reading about this, and your unconscious mind is it's like two people in a room. You're conscious and you're unconscious. The unconscious guy in the room is kind of shy and is quiet, where the conscious guy is louder, speaks up quicker. So if you give a problem, if you get these two guys in the room together and you give them a problem, the conscious guy is like, do this, do this, do this, do this. And the unconscious guy is kind of like in the background, kind of shy, not really saying anything. Mm-hmm. But if you give the conscious guy just something to do just for a couple of minutes, like watch this movie for a couple of minutes while the unconscious guy has a time to speak, to express themselves. And so how I related that was, as I'm reading a book, I get all these ideas on different subjects. Like I'd be reading a book about Churchill, and things will come up about classes or like business opportunities or whatever. And from what I understand, that's your unconscious mind. You're giving your conscious mind something to do, like reading and paying attention. And then your unconscious mind is just like in the background talking. So write that shit down.
Interesting.
Yeah. So I'm starting now to have something to take notes on, but it's not on the book that I'm reading. So
really?
I often read, not often, but I've been reading Thoreau.
Nice.
What's his book?
Walden?
What is it?
Walden,
yeah. Which is painful to get through. It takes me forever to get through. But I come up with all these other ideas, so I've been jotting stuff down on the side. About business, about relationship, about whatever. It's the unconscious mind talking.
So you have something to kind of put a leash on the conscious mind, so the
keep
unconscious.
it busy.
Yeah, that's interesting. Cool. Yeah, sometimes I think if I'm listening to music, it can be more productive. Like, I don't know, with some sort of distraction there, I can almost somehow focus more.
There's studies on that.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Cool. I think, and I'm reading a lot about the conscious and unconscious mind, and I think a lot of what the breath work is about, and a lot of those self-help or self-reflective experiences are about, looking into the unconscious, what's lurking underneath there, or what are the structures that built the conscious, right?
Yeah.
You got a story running in your head of who you are, what you do, and everything like that. And some of these intense 3-day or 45-minute experiences can basically annihilate the conscious mind.
Exactly.
And open up for some insight.
Yeah, doing that, looking at it with that conscious, unconscious, instead of trying to, for myself, quiet the conscious mind, I just distract it. Because I'm not going to, for me personally, I'm not going to quiet any conscious mind down. It's always going to be there, blah, 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 all the freaking time, right? Yeah. But if I can distract the damn thing and then have the unconscious mind, speak.
Yeah, and I think there's a cool thing in yoga where that happens, and that's where the like one yogi says it's not yoga unless you unify the body, the breath, and the mind. So I think in probably most yoga classes, you're just trying to keep up with the postures, right? But if you have the opportunity to try to take each movement with an inhale or with an exhale, notice when the mind starts to think about work or something else, bring the mind back to the breath, back to the movement of the body, the engagement of the muscles. I think a lot of that kind of just gets rid of that monkey brain.
Yeah. Or at least quiets it a little bit, distract it. Is there anything that we didn't touch on that you would like to shout out? Any more projects or anything that you're up to? Do you want to get out there to the audience?
If anybody wants to swing some kettlebells or Indian clubs or anything else on the beach, or just throw them at me, hit me up on Instagram. I'm happy to chat, meet some new people. And other than that, check out Seva Foods. Any questions on that, send me a message on Instagram. And come take some classes over at Edge in San Marcos.
What's your Instagram handle?
It is Gilligan _Ian _Gilligan.
Right.
Ian Gilligan was already taken.
That's the, what's that?
Ian Gilligan was already taken.
So. That's the best way to get a hold of you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Definitely.
Cool. Well, thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it. Like I said, I follow you like crazy, and I dig all the stuff that you're doing, especially kettlebell stuff. And you're always you're a great student. You're a student of the sport for sure. You're a student of whatever you're following, your passion. You're definitely in just looking and exploration for sure. And I dig that. You're like a student of the exploration. That's what I'm trying to spit out.
Awesome.
I dig that. That's really
cool. That. And you're a great instructor.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
A lot of my kettlebell stuff I owe to you.
Well, good. Well, anybody watching his kettlebell stuff, just make sure if he does anything bad, I didn't teach him that.
That's right. That's me. That's me entirely.
That's him exploring.
Anything that looks cool, Robert Budd.
Right on. For all you out there, anything that could be linked I'll put it on the show notes. Anything linkable or any of the books that we talked about will be on there. You can check all that out on robertbudd.net/podcast. And with that being said, thank you so much for being on. I really appreciate it. And until next time, keep exploring, bro.
Thanks, Robert. Thanks for the opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool.
All right, and there you have it. So thanks for listening. I really appreciate it. The first part I was actually going to edit out, and then I figured, you know what, why not just listen to the entire session of rambling on, and just a little insight on, if you're ever wondering how to do a podcast, that was how I do the podcast, the time investment, the financial investment, and what I actually do. So before you go, one more thing. If you would like to get a quick email from me once a month, and it's about all the things that, not all the things, but a couple of things that I dig up throughout the month, whether it's books I read, some inspirational quotes, or movies that I watch, or obviously into health and fitness, and I throw in some dietary things that I've dug up, all kinds of stuff. So if you're interested in getting that information once a month, go to my website, and it's robertbudd.net, and you can scroll down, drop your email, and where it says, I'd like to get the next not newsletter, drop it in there. Just drop your email in there. It's not a newsletter, it's just a quick email. And also, once again, just really, I want to thank you for listening. If you want to hear see any of the show notes, anything that's linkable, I've got on the show notes, and that's on robertbudd.net/podcasts. And so, with that being said, I really like what Ian said, shine a light in the basement. And so if you can just continue to shine the light in your basement, I think this is going to be a better world for all of us if we just keep on doing that. All right, love you, and see you next time. Actually, I won't see you. I will chat with you and to you next time. Something like that. All right, peace out.